loves, welcome to Conscious Chats with Jess
and Susie,
where we have mind-expanding chats about this wild ride of life.
We'll be talking about embodiment, self-mastery, health and wellness, spirituality, and everything else between. Thank you for being here, and we hope you enjoy this episode. Do you think we should take a little breath and close our eyes? Okay. Setting the intention that this podcast reaches all the people that need to hear it, all of the wisdom that we have that gets to be shared and touches the lives, the hearts, the souls that are needing it in the exact moment that they need it. Visualizing all of the thousands and thousands and thousands of people that will be listening. One more deep breath in. And a long breath out.
Thank you, Susie. That was delicious.
Oh my gosh, we have a podcast.
Welcome to Conscious Chats.
Yay! So, we were just saying, I've been wanting to do a podcast for years, and you've also been wanting to do a podcast. It's been in both of our fields, and we were together last week. Jess lives in Sydney, I live in the Gold Coast. We were together and we were both like, oh, we should do a podcast, and we were like, fuck it, let's go. So here we are.
Here we are. I know, it's so funny how quickly things can happen and move when you set an intention and have that desire.
Yes,
I love it.
Yes, when it aligns and it's all in flow, and it's just going with the energy, this is what's meant to happen, and it's just easy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your intentions for the podcast?
My intentions for this podcast is to use my voice more and be able to express myself and what I'm moving through, with the hope that it will also inspire and help others. I feel like there's so many moments in my life that having conversations with people, whether it's being coaches when I've worked with you one-on-one, or even conversations with my students on my yoga and Pilates platform, where we just speak about gratitude or what is happening in our lives. I feel like there's so many moments where it adds to how I feel and gives me a different perspective and just opens my mind. So my intention with this podcast is to have these conscious chats with you, in the hope that we can start something and allow this kind of spark that ignites us to ignite others, so that we can light up the world. That's how I see it.
Yes, so beautiful.
And what's your intention, my love?
Well, I'm currently bleeding, so when I'm bleeding, my brain's a little bit all over the place, so I don't know if I'll be able to word it quite as beautifully as you, but here we go. Kind of similar in that, just having chats with friends, right? Some of my best friends, including you, I just feel like we have the best conversations, and there's so much energy and excitement and passion and wisdom shared, and it's this beautiful mixture of these delicious things that I really feel could serve and support others. So my intention is to follow the aliveness of what's going on in our lives, what we're currently passionate about or moving through, working through, challenged with, what we're experiencing with my clients and with your students, and then just bringing conversations to light that are then able to inspire and serve and support others. So to have fun, to connect with you, to be with you, to chat with you, and serve and support and inspire others along the way.
That's so good. So yummy. And I always find as well, like you said, what's alive, it's like most of the time in these spaces when we're having conversation, we start to notice how connected or how we're experiencing similar sort of frequencies and waves. And so I hope that with what's relevant for us, it's relevant for others as well, and it finds them at the right time.
Yeah. It's like because we're both yoga teachers as well, like when you're teaching a class and then you just come up with a particular intention and someone will come up at the end of the class and be like, that's exactly what I needed right now. How did you know? And it's just trusting that whatever's in the field is in the field for a reason, and what we're going through and experiencing is similar or in somehow in service of others as well.
Yeah, I love that you said trust just then, because that is one of my New Year's intentions for 2024. And with that trust, it's like getting out of your own way and letting go of the small-minded ego self and making it about me, and allowing it to be about the greater picture and you and your contributions and the way that you're serving. And I guess these desires or these interests that are wanting to come through you, just trusting that if that's a desire that's sparking within you, to move from that space and act on it rather than stalling or blocking yourself. I love that you said trust.
Trust is one of my intentions for the year as well. And I think we were talking about this last week. Trust and surrender, just like trusting the process, for me is like trusting that whatever is meant for me is coming, and within that letting go of control, letting go of the need to control the outcome or control the moment that the manifestation arrives, or a lot of the things that I work in around manifestation is to do with my business and like bringing in new clients, and I'm really grounding into that deep trust that the beautiful aligned soulmate clients, like when there's that soul connection, it's like I can't describe it. It's like it's so different to just a client that you're bringing in for like monetary reasons, if that makes sense. Like when it's all super aligned and there's that soul connection and that soul pull between the two of you, it's just such a different experience for both the client and the coach. And so something that I'm really grounding into, especially this month, because I have big beautiful business goals, as you do as well, is like, yes, like having those beautiful big goals and intentions and visions and dreaming big and taking action towards them, taking inspired action, but at the same time trusting and deeply knowing that it will arrive when it's meant to arrive in the most perfectly aligned divine timing. And if we try and push our own mental, perceived, limited idea of when that is or who that is, then it's like what you were saying with flow and alignment, then it's like it's not as easeful and it's not the most perfect outcome, I feel. Does that make sense?
It so makes sense. And just as you were describing that and sort of being like, I just kind of also had this image come to me of like how we think things should be or how we see it playing out is like the part of that trust for me is just trusting and surrendering into the greater plan of the universe, that it is working out for me in ways beyond what I could comprehend in my mind and in this intellectual space. Like, the universe is so vast and infinite. And even as you spoke about like the souls, like each soul being in its simplicity, but also its complexities of what it brings, like to have that moment where there's that alignment is just so perfect amongst all this randomness that is life. That isn't random at all.
A phrase that I like to repeat is better than I ever could have imagined. And one of my mentors, Amanda Francis, who is like the spiritual money queen, she always says when she's manifesting or writing, writing a goal or a thing she's calling in, this or something better. And so it's like, yes, have that goal, that intention, that vision, that desire, that thing that you want 100%. Don't ever squash that. But knowing that it's this or something even better than I ever could have perceived or imagined or created.
Mm. I love that. I'm going to start using that. Thank you.
Yes. Pleasure.
I feel like I've heard that before, but it hasn't landed as well as it did then. So thank you.
So I guess we should probably introduce ourselves because people probably don't know who the hell we are
and what we're doing. That's a great idea.
Did you want to go first?
I can go first. So my name is Jess. I am the business owner of Sanctuary Online, which is a yoga and Pilates online platform. We also do barre, meditation, pranayama, and I guess the special thing about it is that not only does it have on-demand classes that you can do at any time, 24/7, but it also has live classes that happen twice a week, which I really love. Just sharing that moment and that accountability with people. And I also love that we get to have chit chats before practice, little catch ups, and also after. And a practice after the class that is close to my heart is this practice of gratitude. And that to me is the best part, although I do love the yoga and Pilates. But that to me, just seeing people express themselves and then kind of how it fills their heart, but also mine. That's one of my favorite things about the space and the live classes that Sanctuary offers. And in this business space, I do have a grand vision for it. And although it's just yoga and Pilates, I would love to see it weave in sort of multidisciplinary approaches to health and wellness. And I guess my interests in different things are sort of weaving into that. But I don't know exactly. It's this and something better, more than I can imagine. And I'm just trusting that more than I can imagine, better than I can imagine, because I'm not exactly sure how it's all going to fit together. So yes, that is it.
Beautiful. I love that what you're bringing to your online studio is like that connection that you get in a in-person studio, like the chit chats beforehand and afterwards, and the gratitude practice and the live classes, which is quite different to most other online platforms, I would say. I haven't really used many, but that beautiful the human connection, the soul connection, the heart connection, which is just like so beautiful.
Yeah, I really love the mission of Sanctuary is really to create a safe space and a sanctuary within ourselves. So that I really hope that through this platform I can inspire people to find that space within them, which is a returning home to their wholeness. And not that it was never there, but it's just that reconnection too, because we easily forget in the lives that we live and the tendencies that we have. So yes, that sanctuary is very special and within each of us.
I love what you said about it's not that it was ever lost, but it's like a re-remembering or a remembering. And I have this beautiful little daily planner by an amazing artist and author called Alexis Raccoon. And there was just this one little quote at the end of one of the pages that just really touched my heart. It was something along the lines of, it's okay to forget and remember again and again and again. And I was like, that's so true. I do forget. I forget all the time, and I remember all the time as well. And it was just that beautiful permission and acceptance of it's okay. It's okay to forget. It's okay to remember. And it's okay to do that again and again and again and again.
That's so special because it's like reminding ourselves of our humanness and like not here to get it perfect. And there definitely is no getting it right according to like what standard are we measuring ourselves against, some maybe impossible one in our minds, you know. So yeah. Celebrating the forgetting and the remembering.
Yes, and the imperfection. The perfect imperfection.
that makes us special.
Yes, that makes us human. Exactly. Yeah. Well, I am Susie. Susie Tagarro, and my business is Sacred with Susie. So what I do, I'm a feminine embodiment and empowerment mentor, and I really say that my mission is to help liberate women from their minds, from the things that hold them back from their fullest expression, from their truest self, from their authentic self. So the things that can hold us back are our fears, our thoughts, our limiting beliefs, our past, or our relationship to our past. And so, my work is in helping women liberate themselves from those things so that they can become their own version of fully expressed. So I have a program called the Fully Expressed Woman, and I say that like the fully expressed woman is an archetype that I created, and I like to embody her and express and dance and, you know, be my most authentic self online. And within that, that's not everybody's own version of fully expressed. So women don't have to look like me to be fully expressed, if that makes sense. What I'm guiding women into is their own version of that, who their most true authentic self is, beyond all the limitations or the thoughts or the fears or the crazy stories and ego beliefs that say you can't do that, or you can't say that, or you can't wear that, or whatever it is. Opening up the fullest expression of who they are beyond and beneath all of those things, because our true self is there. She's there beneath all of it. It's just removing all of the layers and the conditioning and the fear that separates us or clouds us from that.
I love it so much, Susie. You're so special, and the mission that you have and the power that you have to be able to guide people through that is so amazing. I haven't done the full course with you, but I have had the pleasure of doing one-on-one mentoring with you. And that was so amazing. I was many times just crying. But then amongst all that, there was also a lot of heart opening and laughter and fun, and just, reclaiming. I feel reclaiming parts of myself. And it's funny how it's such a challenge in this day and age to be embodied in our body, but like what could be more human than being in this vessel? But then it's like we deny parts of ourselves and we close ourselves off. And then we kind of find ourselves trapped. So the word, I love that you use the word liberated and liberation. And that is so beautiful to be able to offer women that. And it's amazing.
Thank you. I just want to say within that, like, I think it's a common tendency, especially as women, you know, to see someone who you believe to be fully expressed or super confident or super liberated, or whatever words you want to use, to see a woman like that and then to start to compare yourself, right? And start to think, wow, she's amazing. I could never be like that, or I wish I could do that. And I just want to really say in this moment, I get it. And I still do it. I still look at women that I see as further along the journey than me, more embodied, more expressed, you know, all of the things. And those same thoughts still arise for me. And the only reason that I am where I am now, and the only reason that I believe that I can help women liberate themselves from the things that hold them back, is because I have done that in myself, and because I didn't used to be this way. Like, I was quite a shy teenager, and like younger girl as well. Like I think I was quite talkative when I was really little, and then I'm not sure exactly when it was, somewhere maybe when my parents got separated, I lost my spark, and then I kind of began to draw inwards, and then from then on I was very shy, and I had this like I viewed myself as a shy person. So yeah, I just want to say in this moment, I've walked that journey and I know what it's like. And if there's any kind of threads of comparison or anything popping up in any of the beautiful listeners, I just want to say, I see you and I get it and it's okay.
I love that. Thanks for honoring that, Susie.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's funny how we can get to comparing ourselves and then in a way that pushes ourselves down or makes ourselves not enough. I have always appreciated in your containers though the emphasis on like women supporting women and
Yeah.
celebrating women. And I feel like when I did your courses, I feel like it was a few years ago now. I can't remember the exact timeline.
Yeah. Maybe
But
three years ago or something.
Time flies. Like,
Yeah.
but I feel like we are moving into an age where we as women can really support each other and lift each other up. And so I just really love all the work that you're doing to help contribute there and the spaces that you create and facilitate. And even like this comparing, if it's something that I think it was you and also a few different places that have sort of said if there's something that you're envious about in someone else, it's just because that desire lives within you. So it's almost like these things that we might then shame ourselves for comparing or saying, I want that, she has that, how can I get that? It's like actually lean into that. Don't kind of cut yourself down and criticize yourself for having that thought or desire because someone else is living that or embodying that. Like, what is that showing within you that you're like, oh, I want to feel that and expand in that way? And yeah, I love the idea of having, even if it's a trigger, like it's something that moves you
Yes.
to experience yourself differently.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I like to say that we can flip comparison into inspiration. So when that thought arises of comparing yourself or thinking she has this or I could never do this or whatever it is, it's just there's a soul or a heart desire beneath that. And then can we flip the comparison, which is like a comparison can lead us down a negative spiral. Can we flip that into inspiration and can that lead us into an upward spiral? So where can inspiration lead us? It can lead us to action, right? So I love that. And yes. And I love what you mentioned about triggers as well. Triggers are like one of my favorite things to talk about and move through and experience with my clients. And I really say that triggers are like alchemical gold because they show us, this is a Peter Crone quote, life will continue to present to us the situations and circumstances to reveal to us where we are not free. So something triggers us in our life. It's just showing us an area of our life where we're not yet free. It's showing us a wound that is not yet healed. And if we take ourselves down the process, which I love to teach to my clients, of finding what the root of that trigger is, which is often a limiting belief, such as I'm not good enough. If we can process the trigger down to its root and then address and heal the root through mental reprogramming and daily action and affirmation and self-love and inner child healing and shadow work, etc. And then so that's the alchemical gold, is the root. And then we can remove the root and we can plant something different. We can plant a new belief, and then that allows us to spiral upwards and heal and move beyond all of the things that are holding us back, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's so transformative. And gives you hope, really, and also changes this perspective that triggers are annoying or get in
Yes.
your way. Um, I think that approach in itself is just liberating for you to then start to expand. And I read a book that sort of goes down that. It's called The Dark Side of Being a Light Worker or a Light Chaser.
Mm.
And she talks about, one of the main quotes that I remember was, what you don't own owns you. So
Yes.
like when these things come up and you're like, oh my gosh, like how did they, and this judgment and criticism comes up, it's like you're being blindsided to where that lives within you. And then so your work that you're doing again is so amazing because it helps us to shine that light into the dark spaces of ourselves and be like, oh, well, that annoyed me so much because I'm doing that.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's not a behavior that I want to do.
Exactly. Yeah. I had something that I was going to say. What did you said? Period brain. You said what doesn't own owns you. No, it's gone. Okay, we'll come back. It's meant to.
I love it so much.
So good.
So much gold. So many nuggets to be found. And I also actually love how it's not only about removing the root, but it's also about planting the seed for something better in its place.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was going to say. So I call myself a feminine embodiment and empowerment coach. And the empowerment piece to me is really moving away from living in victimhood to living in empowerment, living as a sovereign, powerful woman. And so when we're in victimhood, that's the way of looking at the world, as life is happening to me and triggers arise, and like that reaction of like, why is this happening, or why did that have to happen, or why did she have to say that, or why did he have to do that, or that way of living and being in the world, which I 100% used to be like. And that's kind of like living from a victim space of things are happening to me and it's all unfair and I have no voice or say or power in the matter, and it's all unfair essentially. And so when we can start to look at triggers or challenges or experiences that happen in our life as happening for us, and then if it's a trigger, finding the root of that trigger, being able to heal that trigger and then alchemize it, plant the new seed and spiral upwards, then we're moving from this victim powerless place to a really powerful sovereign woman that, you're not a victim to your circumstances. You use your circumstances to grow and evolve your soul, which I believe is the very purpose of us being or having this human experience, is to evolve our souls. And so, yeah, every trigger, every challenge, every experience in life is really just an opportunity to grow and evolve. I truly believe that.
I second that. I love that belief. I feel like it was when I was moving through one of your many courses, but also probably coming back to multiple courses that I did with you. It's like I had heard that life is happening for you before, but it hadn't landed. It hadn't come into my being. So I really thank you for that, because that is such an amazing gift to be able to receive and to give someone. And it changes everything.
Yeah, it really does.
And we often talk about being a victim or a victor, like a hero, like it kind of boils down, but often we don't recognize when we're playing out or moving from that victim mentality.
Yeah, that's the trap.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it can be hard sometimes for people to hear and then acknowledge and own and take responsibility for, I created this life, and if I don't like it, I'm the only one to blame.
Yeah, that in itself is super triggering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember during lockdown, I was working at a pharmacy, like a community pharmacy, and it was a very hectic time. I kept getting these really mean, horrible customers. And I kind of hit a point, and I think this is when I was being coached by you, one of the moments where I was just crying all the time and recognizing how important it is to create safety around myself. And then how, like, what do I myself define as safe? And then how am I opening myself up to spaces that I feel unsafe or um, like I can't cope with in my nervous system? And part of that was definitely self-care and focusing on filling my own cup before I went into those spaces. And I feel like part of that is just like fortifying your energy field, your body, so it supports your mind and nervous system. But the other, like, energetic part was when I go into work and I'm like, oh, it's going to be a horrible day and I'm going to have all these horrible people. I'm like, what message am I giving out to the world? Like, what am I attracting in my space? And so part of that was almost like this rewiring, this like top-down approach of being like starting to do those affirmations and changing my beliefs in my mind and seeing how the world around me started to come into alignment with that new belief or thought pattern. And it can be interesting sometimes when you feel like you're doing the right thing, but then something comes to show and you're like, oh, what am I missing? Like,
yeah.
But yeah, I love the it's all for you. And I find it super fulfilling, this belief and this way of living, that I chose this, like my soul chose this, and I came here for this. And it's all kind of a contract and written in the stars, but at the same time I get free will of how this is going to play out.
Yeah.
And how I respond consciously or react.
Yeah.
And I also, when it was quite difficult for me and I felt like I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, I kind of found myself also being like, you know what, if I don't learn it this time, that's okay, because I'll be back again and I'll get another chance. Like, it's that reoccurring wheel of like, the universe gives you what one you're ready for and what you need.
Yeah, I really like that about releasing the perfectionism piece around the lessons or the things. That's something that I am continuing to learn, still learning and still embodying. And I think I wrote an Instagram post about it recently, is that nothing in this life needs to be done perfectly. And so life is continually responding to us and happening through us and happening for us. And so the lessons that we're learning, the lessons that we're being taught, the lessons that are occurring through us, they don't need to be done perfectly. It's we move through them in the exact way we're meant to move through them, and just releasing the pressure. So yeah, I love what you said about that. If I don't learn it this time, I'll learn it next time. So whatever, it's fine.
I won't remember I was here the first time, but that's okay. Hopefully something landed somewhere and I do it better, maybe, if that's what's meant to be. Yeah, it's funny. We all have our different tendencies, but one of them is just putting pressure and stress, and then being like, that doesn't serve me, so letting it go. And also it's not up to me. So that intention of trust and surrender in the bigger plan, I just keep leaning back into that and notice when I start to go down that old road.
Yeah. And forget and then remember and do it all over again.
Course correct. I love that.
One of the things that I really wanted to share on this episode was like our journey of how we met and how we came to this moment together, because I think it's really fun, cute little journey. So I'll share like my view of our journey, but I think you tell our story a little differently. So maybe I'll tell mine first and then you can tell it from your eyes.
Okay.
So Jess and I are exactly the same age. We were both born in the same year. So we were in high school at the same time. We didn't go to the same school or anything, but we both ended up in first year, what was it called? Like health science. The health science first year at Griffith University, because I was going to be studying medicine to be a doctor and Jess was studying pharmacy. So we were in the same first year at uni and all the same subjects, but it was a massive first year. It was like 800 students or something. So we never actually met. And then at the time, I was working in a pharmacy just as a pharmacy assistant at my first boyfriend's pharmacy. And then years later, Jess ended up working in the same pharmacy for his parents after we'd broken up. So that was a funny little like connection, a second connection. And I didn't know, like we still hadn't met, but I'd heard about you, and I don't know how, but I'd heard about you and I heard that you were working there. And then what was the next thing? Oh yeah, Essence of Living. So Essence of Living was the yoga studio that was like, I think both of our first yoga studios, our first introductions to yoga, and Jess ended up doing teacher training there. And so she was a teacher at my favorite yoga studio. And then I did teacher training at the same studio a few years later. And then years after that, a mutual friend started a yoga mat company, and he reached out to me to do a little photo shoot, and he reached out to Jess. And that's when we met in person for the first time on this yoga photo shoot. That was a mutual friend's yoga mat company. So that was really cool. And then we connected all the dots. That we'd been in the same first year, worked in the same pharmacy, did teacher training at the same place. And then I think we both went traveling. We both went to Europe. And then we both came home. And did you move to Sydney after coming home?
Yes.
Yeah. So we've never really like been proper friends living in the same city. Then our friendship went online, and then just did a few of my beautiful courses, and yeah, we just kept in touch and always had such a deep connection and been on really similar paths, like at uni at the same time, traveling at the same time, figuring it all out.
I love it. It's I feel like I met you once in first year at Griffith Uni through Daniel, a guy who had like reddish hair and glasses, and I think it was like on passing of one of the uni parties, which were always a lot of fun. And then I'm trying to remember, because I think that's where, when I was working at the pharmacy, I didn't understand who Susie was, and then I was like, oh wait, yeah, I know her, like a little bit after that. And it was funny when we finally like discussed that and figured it all out. And the yoga mat company photo shoot, that I think I only met him randomly on a night out anyway. So and actually I think we used to go out because you used to know Roman, who I knew well, one of our friends who did photography and stuff like that. So I think we also had a few kind of like parties along the way.
Yes.
And then we also, I think one of the last things before you went traveling, before both of us went traveling, was Rabbits Eat Lettuce Festival.
Yes.
So we kind of camped together and had a lot of fun as well.
So fun.
Yeah. And then when you were coming back to Gold Coast, I think I may have been still overseas at the time, and you were asking me about Essence of Living, and that's a training scholarship, I think, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because you'd been wanting to do yoga teacher training for a while, and I think you'd even done one before somewhere.
I'd done one in India, yeah.
So we were connecting a little bit through that as well. So it's just really interesting how all these different kind of random pieces fit together and make this story and puzzle. And I guess every time I always had a good feeling about you, and I always kind of loved you, and maybe there was part of me that remembered you, beyond this life, because always felt comfortable and like we clicked, and really relatable, and also just always very much admired you to kind of be like, medicine isn't for me, and I'm gonna do my own thing, like, because that I know takes a lot of courage. and to be honest with yourself and to maybe take the path that you're like, I don't really know where I'm going. I don't have somewhere else in mind. I'm not sure if you did exactly at that time, but just kind of following your heart that you knew that that wasn't right. And I think that's just very powerful, and to be able to honor that and move through that, because that's not what I did. Even though we both know uni was a bit of a struggle for me. I always thought I would change, but I was too busy having fun and going to all those uni parties and meeting cool people like you and doing yoga and all the things that I kind of just, I was rolling through the motions without ever really checking in. So I'm so kind of grateful for all the offerings that you give, and also just the space that yoga and Pilates kind of started to initiate, but then that awareness that has developed over the time to be able to kind of turn inwards and be like, hey, what's actually going on? Because I've had many moments in my life where I'm somewhere and I'm like, whoa, how did I get here? Because I don't know how this happened, because I was just on autopilot, and I was doing what I thought I should do, what people were telling me was a good thing to do. I was following those around me, thinking, oh, they're looking like they've got it right. But I also recognize now that so many of those moments, although externally it may have looked like everything was okay, internally things were a struggle, which is one of the main reasons why I came to see you one-on-one, and to find this and to continue to be on this journey of becoming a fully expressed woman and honoring what is real and true in the heart at each and every moment, even if it's uncomfortable and triggering for myself, but also triggering for other people around me.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that ability to stop, to slow down, because life can be so fast. Life can happen so fast, and it's like that the classic thing of being caught up in the hamster wheel, and like, uni to job to marriage to kids, or whatever it is, whatever everybody's journey is, it's all perfect. But that beautiful opportunity, well, it's not even an opportunity, it's a choice to stop and reflect and ask yourself, ask ourselves, is this what I want? Is this what feels good to me? Is this what feels true to me? And having the courage to listen to that and change that if need be. It's funny. It's funny and synchronistic and perfect, because if you haven't already got it from what we're talking about, I went to uni to study medicine, to be a doctor. I did 5 years of med school, and then I decided to quit and do yoga and go on a journey, and eventually that led me to what I do now as a coach and a mentor. And my partner had a really similar journey. So he did engineering at uni. He was an engineer, worked as an engineer for a couple of years, but has always been a musician, and that's his passion. And he quit that job, that steady, secure, stable, like, life path, to become a musician and follow his heart. And that's something that I really, really admire and honor in him as well. And it's beautiful to have that connection with him.
It's just something that we're not taught. We're not given the opportunity to even ask ourselves. And if no one else around you is questioning it, then I think it's just eventually maybe you realize something happens where you're like, oh my gosh, like what? And it can be shocking and uncomfortable, but also grateful for those moments that are uncomfortable, that course correct.
Yes.
That show us the right way for us.
Yeah.
That make us stop.
One of the many courses that I've done. One of them is by an amazing lady called Lacey Phillips. her brand is to be magnetic, and it's all about manifesting and neural reprogramming. And one of her mini courses is called rock bottom. So it's like for those moments in your life when you feel like you're at rock bottom. And I did this course at the end of my last relationship when I was going through a lot of really deep grief. And she explains this rock bottom time in our lives as a time where the universe pulls the rug out from underneath us because we're not on the path that our soul is meant to walk in this lifetime. And so it's like pulling the rug out from underneath us to like recalibrate and shake everything up so that we can then rebuild again. And at that time in my life when I was going through that breakup, my partner at the time that we broke up, the partner that the relationship ended, we both saw the relationship ending as like a big bushfire, like the burning, the death that needed to happen to then allow the rebirth, the new growth. It's like everything had to burn to the ground to allow the new to come forth. And so those moments in our lives when there's that great recalibration, that uncomfortable as fuck and painful and hard and challenging, and we don't know what's going to happen, we don't know what the future looks like, but they're so powerful. And just like every moment in our lives, they're for us, they're for our soul, for putting us back on the right path.
I love that. I've had many moments, and I'm sure I'll have many more. But I also feel like the more I have, and the more kind of consciousness and alignment that I create day to day, the less kind of shocking or surprises I get. And the more ability I have to be able to move through with ease and grace. And if it is a difficult time for me, like notice if I'm then putting that hurt on others, or am I able to kind of deal with it with the tools that I have learned from various mentors and courses. I also have done many, many courses, but love it. I absolutely love it. I love it when people share their gifts and their passions and their wisdom and their experiences. Like, that is, I feel, why we're here, to do it all together and to learn from each other and support each other through that. And although this illusion is that we are all separate, like actually we're not. And to remember that, to keep remembering that, to keep returning to that truth, and just not feeling ashamed or like you can't ask for help. Because there is so much available if you're willing to kind of see it. But I also love that how you just the similar stories that happen, and how you can hear different ways that people dealt with it and different lessons that people took on from that. And then not only, I guess what's coming through is, not only do you get to reap the benefits and rewards of these triggers and these discomforts, but other people, those around you, also get to receive those gifts. So, and I find it interesting. I feel like most women, definitely me, when it's about other people, it's easier for me to show up. But if it's just for me, then I'm like there's a thing that happens with worthiness and deserving. But it's like, okay, again, like getting out of my small self and being like, I am one expression of this greater consciousness. But also, the more I get to learn and evolve, the people around me benefit and are lifted with me. We all get to lift and rise together through all the gifts that the universe is giving. Some of them were like, no, please no. It allows us to sort of be like, okay, here we go.
I love what you said about every time you grow, everybody around you grows. And it not only benefits you, but it benefits them as well. And that's something else that I like to say is one of my missions is to change the world, to raise collective consciousness. And I believe that I do that one woman, one human, one soul at a time. And every woman's life that I impact creates a ripple effect, right? Because her life then impacts everybody else around her. And I work with a lot of mums. And so their relationship with their children completely changes. The way, maybe not always the way that they treat their children, because they're always really beautiful mums, but the way they treat themselves and the way that we treat ourselves as women, that's what our children learn. Our children take on the way that we are to ourselves. So if we're always criticizing ourselves or settling in relationships that aren't good for us, those are the traits that our children will then carry on, even if we treat them with all the love and kindness and respect. And so, yeah, when we touch one person's life, we touch all of the lives in their life. And it's this beautiful ripple effect, like what you were saying at the very start of the podcast about the little pings of light that it just like get to go off everywhere. And so I really just want to let everyone know in this moment, like, choosing yourself, however you do that, any moment of self-care, whether that's taking 5 minutes extra in the morning to give yourself a little self-love, facial ritual, or whether it's taking a deep breath before going into a meeting, or whether it's signing up to a course or working with a mentor or going to a yoga class or cooking yourself a nourishing meal, every single moment that you choose yourself, that you give yourself love and give yourself care, yes, it benefits you, but it also benefits everyone else around you. And so it is not selfish to take care of yourself. It actually positively influences everyone and everything else on the planet. And then you get to show up as a more alive, happy, radiant, joyful, beautiful, fulfilled version of you. And of course, that benefits everyone else. If you're constantly showing up to everyone around you depleted, then you're showing up from a depleted space, and that's where resentment kicks in. And fullness, self-care, amazing.
You can't pour for an empty cup. Yeah. And also with that, it's just like, I guess that's a physical ripple effect of how you treat yourself and then the children learning. But I also feel like we probably both agree that I think you've probably spoken about it before, but it's like the healing that you do helps to heal the lineage before you. And it almost kind of takes it out into this quantum realm of being like the past, present, and future all happening at once, and the significance of however it is that you're being in this present moment, and that ripple effect into the other timelines, or it can be hard to conceptualize. But I think it's pretty special to just honor. And again, it's like there is so much more than we could understand in our minds that is happening.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I love it. It's like the vastness of this amazing, incredible universe, and all of the mystical parts of it that we may never understand, never fully understand, but can experience.
You can't put words to it, but it's felt.
Yeah. So I know we have to wrap this up because you have to go.
Sorry.
No, it's perfect. I'm sure this is the perfect amount of time. To close, I would love to share one thing that we're grateful for today. What's something you're grateful for?
I'm grateful for heart connection, and I also feel like it's a soul connection. So just grateful for the way in which it's felt at our core and our center, and then it has this ability to kind of be magnified out. And that power of love in the heart is just infinite. I love that. So I'm
Mm.
grateful for this, this heart connection that I also get to experience with you. What are you grateful for, Susie?
Yeah, I'm grateful for this moment, the ease of conversation, the threads of inspiration and aliveness that are drawn upon and honored in these conscious chats. And I'm also really grateful for my bleed, really, really grateful for my bleed and this beautiful feminine vessel that my soul chose to live in this lifetime. I want to honor her and her cycles and phases and seasons. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, my love.
Thank
Always
you.
enjoy connecting with you. And I'll see you soon. I'll chat to you soon.
And thank you to everyone listening.
Yes.
We love you. I hope that you continue on this journey with us. We're very excited. This is the very start, the very first episode. So yeah, excited to be with you for a long time to come.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of Conscious Chats. We are so grateful that you're here.
We'd love to stay connected. You can find me on Instagram at sanctuaryonline.co. I offer online classes of yoga, Pilates, barre and yin, on demand and live, and I would love to practice with you.
And I'm on Instagram at Sacred with Susie. Susie is spelled S-U-S-I-E. And I have a variety of offerings on feminine embodiment, emotional mastery, and more, including my signature program, The Fully Expressed Woman. Feel free to send either of us a message on Instagram if there's any conscious chats you want to hear us riff on. Otherwise, have a beautiful day. We love you. Bye.